Hey folks, welcome to EVE Online. Well, my browser, my YouTube channel. So I'm just uploading a 2 hour long freaking video. So I spent an hour on the first and then 2 hours today. So that's 3 hours total. And I went down a whole bunch of rabbit holes and, mostly it's red herrings and redundant stuff like checking out Commander Triple X because I was like, something about that character is bugging me, and I went down a rabbit hole. But he hasn't played since the 1st of May, right? And it looks like he just dropped off the face of the earth. And he might be on vacation or something, or might have quit. There's a couple of players that I did track down who'd rage quit right when everybody jumped ship to Vendetta. And I wasted time looking at those. So, stuff like that, right? Just basically wandering around, exploring, as is my want as a Bartles type explorer, right? Um, Speculating. That's what I love about this game. Especially Intel stuff. It's fun speculating. There are not lives on the line here, literally. Um, so I can be wrong, I can make guesses. But so far, here's the TLDW of this 2 hour freaking thing. There are 12 active players so far worked out. 12 active players. 8 of them are core multi-boxers. Okay, so here's the list. And I put it in the description. And right? This tells you that, the Vendetta mercenary group who, looks intimidating. See, when you say they're attacking a structure and, there's 28 involved, you're like, oh my god, there's 28 players, or there's, there's 30 players on grid and they're in big nasty ships and it looks scary and they've got lots of logic going on and it looks professional, right? They've probably got all the meta fitting for their paladins and their Zarzimads. But when you realize that they're just multi-boxers and oh look, all their logi are controlled by one player, right? Or two, right? And oh look, they're, it's like they don't really have a lot of tackle. It's all bling on the field. They might have a Hecate somewhere controlled by a player trying to get some easy kills, because most Care Bears defend their things, fly their ships in one by one, and, the whole lemming kind of thing. And it's kind of sad. But, that's what they're used to. Easy kills, zero risk, high reward, max reward. So it looks intimidating, but when you realize there's just a dozen players maximum and 8 core multi-boxers filling out everything, and most of the others are just 1 or 2 players that weren't really present when they needed them for the big pufferfish defense, and they had to call in absolute order to bloat their numbers with Ferox's multi-boxing Ferox fleet. Yeah, it was pretty sad. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, isn't that interesting? That looks like a bunch of alts in Ferox's. And I wonder if they're calling on those kind of people and they don't care. I wonder how much multi-boxing is BlackFlag doing. And it turns out a lot more than we gave them credit for. So it's interesting because you look at originally the reason I came up with this idea that, oh my god, they're really professional, they've got some bling stuff, is because they had bling and they had lots of bling. And it was like, oh, well, they can't be that way without being competent, right? Otherwise people would just tear them apart because, ooh, look, yummy pinatas or loop pinatas, right? So I figured SRS and Nuke DD and Cheetah Holding, who's collapsed so far, and Pirate and everybody else left Jita alone for BlackFlag because they were the toughest and most competent bunch of players who weren't multi-boxers. Because I figured Jita Holding was. And I'd written off RGB or whatever, and then I've written off Bully Brigade, and I've written off, all the other bit players and SRS as having to settle for easier targets elsewhere, and leave BlackFlag owning Cheetah because they were the most powerful bunch of players, and they must not have a lot of multi-boxers in order to maintain that supremacy. But that's not the case at all. Absolutely not. They're just the same. And the thing is, they're so big. Like, there's 176 members, and it's intimidating, right? You're like, oh my god, I don't want to try to figure out how many multi-boxers there are. But it took me like less than an hour on the May 1st, and then 2 hours today, just having fun, speculating, and I didn't do it shittily. You can watch the video if you want. It's linked in the description. You can watch it if you want. It's 2 hours long. I wouldn't, it's mostly me wandering into red herring dead ends and not getting anywhere. But I took my time patiently until, Zeke Hill started to do its weird thing of doing... Oh, here we go. Yeah, Corin. It's like, the last thing I got on was, what's Corin's activity? It's like, is he got the same activity as, he the same person as Pernicious Cheese? And I'd gotten that idea by looking at some employment histories, and I'm like, okay, well, it's close enough. I'm not going to discount it. Yeah, but I was assuming Pernicious Cheese was his own player because of such a standout name, but Corin's top of that list, so I'm like, okay, all right, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. I'm guessing that this is one player. This is actually two players, but my intuition's telling me they're the same person. So, work away at it, and there's, it just looks typical that people control 9, 10 alts. And that's way more than I thought originally. I thought this was a competent professional team who control their number of alts in order to avoid, the loot pinata that would attract other entities going, oh, you're a house of cards, let's knock you over. So, yeah, Slow certainly did that. And they're not giving up. Good old Slow. But yeah. There you go. 1 day, 3 hours. What is that? Noon? Noon tomorrow? Oh, yeah. Let's see if I can make it.